Hey folks, it's Dave Neal, stand-up comic and host of the Rush Hour podcast. We have Donald Trump saying to reporters he could pardon Ghislaine Maxwell if he wants. It's day 2 of Ghislaine Maxwell getting interviewed privately by the Deputy Attorney General. Just fantastic time to be alive. I'm going to share with you guys the moment a Republican senator was called out for trying to hide the release of the Epstein files. This is insane that every day, the more we see people try to prevent these files from coming out, the more we say, release the dang files. So let's dive into it. Hit the subscribe button if you enjoy my content and my perspective. I appreciate the, help, the ability to have you guys help us grow. We've been actually featured to a whole new audience as we cover this story. So again, vote with your like, your subscribe, and leave a comment. So here's what Trump had to say to reporters before he left for Scotland.
Would you consider a pardon or a commutation for Ghislaine Maxwell if she's cooperating?
It's something I haven't thought about. It's really something. I'm allowed to do it, but it's something I have not thought about.
But you wouldn't rule it out, sir?
He said, I haven't ruled it out. I'm allowed to do it. And by the way, what's so funny is his little henchman public speaker, Caroline Levitt, in the background nodding. Yeah, that's what you hit the talking point. Absolutely. Yeah, you're allowed to do it. You're the big daddy. You can do whatever you want, right? Oh yeah, you got it. Don't worry about it. This is a disgrace. He goes, I haven't thought much about it. I'm allowed to. I could do it. I've got the power. But you're telling me he hasn't thought much about it? He hasn't thought about pardoning Ghislaine Maxwell? His deputy attorney general is on day 2 of interviewing her. His deputy attorney general, that was his criminal defense lawyer. This is not an independent Department of Justice. They work for Donald Trump. This is the world we live in. Trump stunned reporters in his real brazen attempt to deflect from him being named in the Epstein list and saying, go look at the Clintons.
You should focus on Clinton. You should focus on the president of Harvard, the former president of Harvard. You should focus on some of the hedge fund guys. I'll give you a list. These guys lived with Jeffrey Epstein. I sure as hell didn't.
So he says he says, I'll give you a list. I have a list. He's like, well, it's not that list. Is it a list involving Jeffrey Epstein? Then it's the list. So he's like, all right, you can go. You should investigate Rosie O'Donnell. I hear she's eating the cats and the dogs. You should go it's like, actually, sir, I think we can walk and chew gum at the same time. I think we can investigate you and these other cases. I'm going to share 2 clips with you of Senator Cory Booker here. They're voting on a bill, and there's an amendment to this bill, and the bill involves opioids, some prevention, it's a good bill. It's a bipartisan bill that they have. They're ready to sign it, but Cory Booker finds out that snuck into the amendment was them getting rid of releasing the Epstein files. Have a listen to this.
If Senator Cornyn is going to offer an amendment, I'm going to offer a third degree that simply strikes his first 2 lines. I'll vote on your immigration stuff that you so strongly stated there was the importance of this, but you hid the fact that you put here the real intention of your amendment. It has nothing to do with immigration. It says it right here in the first 2 lines. The real effort was just to not have accountability and transparency. What are you afraid of?
And, this is probably the best use of ChatGPT, where you can type in ChatGPT, find this amended bill and find out how the Republicans are trying to fuck me on this, because they amend these bills. They barely have time to read them. And then they find out that there's some shadiness going on. So they're getting ready to pass this bill. A new amendment comes through where they strike out the part where they're going to release the Epstein files. And by the way, this is a bipartisan issue. People agree on it. There's a ton of Republicans that agree with the Democrats that we need to release this. I don't care if Bill Clinton's in the bill. I don't care if Bernie Sanders. I love Bernie. If any of these people are in the Epstein files, we need to know. Now, do I think Bernie Sanders is in it? No, and absolutely not. Is Bill Clinton? I wouldn't be surprised. Is Bill Gates? Could be. Alan Dershowitz? I don't know. But Lindsey Graham? Probably not. But I don't care. I want transparency, and I want them to listen to the American public. This is like a hard line issue for a lot of people on the left and the right, which is to say, we are demanding this. And metaphorically speaking, we will burn this shit to the ground to find it.
Mr. Chairman, may I respond?
So he responds and says, oh, actually, no, blah, blah, blah. But he was called out. He was called out for, I guess, not wanting the Epstein stuff to come out. And you have Speaker Mike Johnson saying, well, we're going to block all these subpoenas and block all these motions to release the Epstein files because we're going to wait for the president. They're investigating it. And it's like, that's not how transparency works.
So Mr. Cornyn claims that nothing about this would end debate. We're not seeking to end debate. We're seeking to pass legislation out of this committee that would force the disclosure and the transparency and the truth being made public. We had a chance today that Senator Cornyn blocked to make the truth known to the American public. We had the power today, the possibility today, to force out the truth regarding the Epstein files and the lies and the obfuscation that is happening by this administration.
All right, so regardless, depending on what state you live in, what county, where your representatives are, this is the moment where we take notes. This is the moment where, for the next election, we say, what side are you on? Senator Richard Blumenthal from Connecticut, I believe this is from the same hearing, responds.
Senator Cornyn is right that Jeffrey Epstein is dead, but right now, ongoing in real time, right before our eyes, are events and actions that smack of a cover-up. There ought to be no secret meetings, no secret deals, especially with Trump's personal lawyer, who is now doing his bidding at the Department of Justice, namely Todd Blanche, who reportedly is on his way as we speak to Florida or whatever prison is currently confining Ghislaine Maxwell, possibly to offer her a deal in return for exculpatory information about his former client, the President of the United States.
Now, I would be okay if Ghislaine Maxwell got a deal if she released all the information she knows, right? I would be okay with that. The problem is the theory is that she's gonna do what Trump wants her to do for that deal, which is, maybe name some people but not name him. So there really is no chance, unless there's some sort of like Bible or physical evidence of the list, but there really is no chance of believing what Ghislaine has to say given the circumstances. Although a lot of people are saying, well, there's so much information in the Epstein files already. If Ghislaine comes out and lies about what she knows, they'll be able to cross-examine her on that and, I don't know, whatever. So we'll have to see how it all plays out. But it's interesting. And in other news, the FCC has approved the $8 billion merger that is Paramount being bought. Have a listen.
The FCC just approving that long simmering merger between Paramount and Skydance, a media company. Now, remember the context to this. This is a deal getting the green light just weeks after Paramount agreed to settle with the Trump administration for $16 million and just days after Paramount fired Stephen Colbert. Now, they said it wasn't linked to this, but there has been some concern around that. The White House basically had the final say, the Trump administration, on whether this merger got approved, with critics suggesting the lawsuit settlement may have played a part in that.
And by the way, an $8 billion deal, it is very easy for them to pay off Trump $16 million. That's literally just a transaction fee. It's very easy for them to get rid of Colbert's show. And they say, oh no, Colbert's show was just losing money. So if Paramount was so worried about losing money, how the hell were they able to pay South Park $1.5 billion? Here is South Park at Comic-Con responding to their season 27 premiere, where they showed a full frontal cartoon of our president's ding-a-ling.
Action today, have you been following it? What do you make of it?
We're terribly sorry.
The economy of words there. We are terribly sorry. I absolutely love it. They are not sorry, obviously. The satire of season 27 of South Park it really takes away the strength that President Trump wants to show. He wants to show that he's a serious man, right? And of course, they've related to the saying that like it's a clown wearing a crown, right? And the satire shows you're not that serious. You're a goofball. You're a hypocrite. You're doing the bidding of rich, billionaires. You're not fighting for the middle class. You're actually robbing the middle class. It's the biggest wealth disparity we've had. 17 million people are going to lose their health insurance. The new big, beautiful bill provides trillions of dollars to the debt. We'll literally can barely afford the interest on the debt. And for them to say, we're sorry. How great. And how great that they're, able to cash in. And you need people like this. You need artists that aren't afraid to speak truth to power. So many instances you have audience capture. You have this idea where people start pandering to their audience because they don't want to bite the hand that feeds. What I've tried to illustrate through my show that I covered earlier talking about Candace Owens is that I will not fall prey to audience capture. If I have to walk somebody, if I have to crack an egg to make an omelet, that's something I have to live with. I've had this happen with my wife where I've had to say, look, we have to be okay if there's an exodus. We have to be okay if people disagree with me. As long as I believe what I'm saying, the true people that appreciate my authenticity will stick around through tough times. And we're seeing that with South Park. They just got $1.5 billion. They could have played it safe. They said no, and they did a real reckless, insane, absolute insane episode that people are loving because they're going, damn, this is getting back to a time where, humor can go to places it shouldn't be allowed to go. And B, they did this and spit in the face of somebody that's been threatening his people that are, dissenting from him. Absolutely fantastic stuff. In other news of our post-apocalyptic dystopian world we live in, here is 100 millionaire Venus Williams saying she got back into tennis because she needed the health insurance.
I had to come back for the insurance because they informed me earlier this year I'm on Cobra. So I was like, I got to get my benefits on.
And by the way, we see this all the time. You'll see some actor, doing some weird commercial for something. And I'm like, all right, I bet they just needed to hit their SAG insurance for this year because you have to make like a certain amount of money in order for your SAG insurance to come through. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous, this world we live in. Every study out there shows if we have universal health care, it'll cost less money and you'll get better care. And yet we just have this insurance man, this middleman, this mob boss we pay to, and then they get to basically resist at every chance to actually do their job and, deny us coverage. So she wasn't kidding.
Started training.
She's actually not lying about that because we talked about that about 6 years ago. So you're actually telling the truth. Insurance is hard.
Insurance, you guys know what it's like. And let me tell you, I'm always at the doctor.
And by the way, we shouldn't know what it's like. This, the number one thing when I post about health insurance in the United States from international people is their jaws drop. They don't understand how we let insurance and our government treat us this way. You know what I mean? Trump's been talking about concepts of a plan for close to a decade now. He hasn't introduced one health improvement plan for us. The only thing he was planning to do was getting rid of Obamacare, which, realized the polls didn't like that. And again, Obamacare is not great. We need a better solution. We need to overhaul the whole system and do universal health care. We need to pay for our health through our taxes. It's the cheapest way. You get out the middleman. You actually pay less. You get more. And because we're one of the only countries where our age of death is like going down. We're actually getting worse off. And it's due to capitalism. It's due to the fact that companies, we let capitalism run unfettered and companies put a bunch of bullshit in the food. It's making us sick. Pharmaceuticals wants to have us doped up and we're not healthy and we're not going to get our, selves looked at because it's too dang expensive. So it's absolutely ridiculous. Again, I shared this earlier, but here's your homework for the weekend. The Hunter Biden interview that is going viral right now is fantastic, done by Andrew Callahan. They sit down for a 3-hour interview. I had no idea that Hunter Biden has been clean and sober for over 6 years now. He shares everything about, again, he's pretty bitter in this interview based on what's happened to him, but he talks about a lot of interesting topics, one being addiction. And anybody who's interested in politics, I think would find this pretty interesting to hear him go to bat for his dad. Like, think what you want about Hunter Biden or the Biden family, but he goes to bat hard for his dad here. And I find that very admirable. So that's your homework. And here's Joe Rogan talking about it.
And he could be president. How about that? How about that?
That kid,
How about He could. Like, no bullshit. Hunter Biden, after all he'd been through, look, we all his dirty laundry's all out there. We all see it. He was a freak.
And by the way, just fantastic when you think about Hunter Biden, and the biggest issue people had with him was his drug addiction. You know, addiction affects everybody. It works across race, gender, age, and it is something that really hits all of us. And Hunter Biden having to deal with his mom dying in a car crash at a young age, his brother dying of cancer, his own addiction on his deathbed. I'm telling you right now, don't sleep on that interview. It's a fantastic one. All right, well, that's it for me. We're basically done here. We end every Friday episode with our middle fingers up telling our boss to go fuck themselves. So go do that. And how about this? Anyone who's going to leave rude comments privately saying you're disappointed in somebody, they can go fuck themselves too. All right, we'll see ya. Actually, you know what? I have a special episode coming to you tomorrow. I have a special weekend episode. So stick around for that. Hit the subscribe button. We'll see you then. I'm Dave, and this is The Rush.